Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Oklahoma City Water Utilities Trust. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the July 5th, 2017 meeting, and I would recognize a motion to that effect.
Move approval.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. We have the consent docket.
Move subject to individual consideration.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We'll vote. Approved. There's no items on the concurrence docket, nor are there any items for individual consideration. So we'll move into any items from trustees. Seeing none, we will move into the general manager reports. You're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The pro forma for the year, or for the month rather, revenues in water and sewer are where expected. They're a little below our projections, but we're expected because of energy savings and salary savings. The status of the utilities for the month of June, all the lakes are full with the exception of Draper, and it's a little over 4 feet down.
I'm not sure I've ever seen that full report on the 6 of them before. That's, and we're talking the middle of July. That's pretty amazing.
Above full. So that's a good
Crazy.
thing.
Amazing.
Particularly since we're actually in a moderate drought zone, just Oklahoma City. So
In Draper, if we had shut the water line down last year, would be full.
it was over 10 feet low in the spring. So we've done well in building the water level up there as well. So we're in really good shape financially and really good shape as far as our water supply is concerned. Item C, we have a presentation. Larry Hare is here to talk to us about the Atoka pipeline.
Good afternoon. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to update you on where we are with the second Atoka pipeline. Some of these slides you may have seen before. I'm going to give you kind of like a brief rundown of what our current system looks like, what the system engineer has been up to, as well as what design engineers have been up to, and what our next steps will be. Here is what our current raw water system looks like. We have the Atoka pipeline built in the 60s, which is 100 miles of concrete pipe, 60-inch in diameter, that brings water from Lake Atoka through 6 pump stations all the way to Draper. We also have the McGee Creek pipeline, which was built in the 1980s, that consists of 1 pump station at McGee Creek Reservoir and about 17 miles of 66-inch and 72-inch steel pipe that brings water from McGee Creek to Lake Atoka. The trust has hired CDM Smith to be the system engineer to take a look at the entire raw water system, including the Kiamichi Basin. They provided their conceptual plan in September 2014, which outlined phases for the Southeast Oklahoma raw water supply system. For the second Atoka pipeline, they recommended a new 72-inch steel pipe, 3 new pump stations, and an additional pump stations to be built at a later date. Looking at our current system for the 72-inch and for a 60-inch pipeline, the new 72-inch will be built adjacent to the existing pipeline within the 100-foot wide easement that the existing stands in, with a new pump station at Kanawha, at Stonewall, and a new one at the south tip of Lake Atoka called Pump Station O. All of this will be around an estimated construction cost of almost $600 million. Pump Station O is a unique pump station there at the south end of Lake Atoka in that it will divert water straight from the McGee Creek pipeline as well as a new upcoming Kiamichi pipeline. And it will still retain the ability to bypass the pump station and still go into Lake Atoka up here. What you see in orange is what's the conceptual layout for the first phase of the new pump station site. What you see in white will be coming from the new Kiamichi pipeline. The system engineer has completed several things. One is the topographic design-ready survey that we submitted to all the design engineers, as well as the first volume of the design standards, which contains computer-aided design standards and basic design elements for design engineers to start work with. And it was submitted to them in about a year ago. They've also recently completed the second volume of the design standards, which contains more design elements related to pipe design with tables, trench details, crossings, and specifications. It was submitted to the design engineers last week, and we will be reviewing them with all of the design engineers tomorrow. Other things that the system engineer has been doing is pipe procurement evaluation, and where we decided to pre-purchase the 72-inch steel pipe outside of construction in order to level the playing field between all contractors. Included in that will be specifications and planning on how to obtain the pipe, construction sequencing and packaging of these documents, and ways to bid it. And we also took an informal pipe manufacturer tour with 6 pipe manufacturers in February and March earlier this year to get an idea of how the pipe is manufactured. They also did the hydraulics and surge modeling completed in April, which is what the second volume of the design standards is basically based on. And they'll be kicking off the pump station design here very shortly to be completed in July of next year, including the Pump Station O, pump stations at Kanawha and Stonewall, and additional surge facilities at the existing pump stations that will be needed. We also hired 8 design engineers for 9 contracts up and down the Atoka pipeline in order to get the pipeline in. And basically, their contracts run from pump station to pump station with a couple of exceptions. The section between Ada and Kanawha were pretty long, so we split that in 2 and gave it to 2 separate design engineers, along with the river crossing going to Triad in this area right here. The area between Kanawha and Macomb was also very long, so we kind of like split that in half and gave roughly half to Guernsey and half to MacArthur. And then SRB got the last bit right up here. Task number 1 for the design engineers, the notice to proceed, was issued April 26th of last year. And on July 26th, almost a year ago to the day, oh no, not quite to the day, about a week, we had the review of the first volume of the design standards with the system engineer, and that included their level for 35% design for geotech, corrosion investigations, hauling, and access routes. The work order for number 2, for task number 2, was recently issued to the design engineers. In 90 days, they're to produce a 65% design level, which includes easements that we may possibly need for the existing pipe, for the new pipeline, and pipe quantities in order to procure the pipe. And it also includes a review by the system engineer to be sure that the standards are being followed. Next steps, of course, is to finish up the pipe procurement documents for solicitation, issuing task number 3 and 4 to design engineers for final design, bidding, construction admin, and inspection services. We need to finish up the design and then construct the new pump stations that are being anticipated, and we think that we're going to have it all completed and in operation in 2022. With that, I can entertain any questions.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, the one thing that we've done since the award of the individual engineering contracts is we have recommended, and you all have approved, rather than design for a 72-inch steel and concrete, you all approved the recommendation to settle on the 72-inch steel pipe. So there was some engineering fee dollars available in each of the contracts. So what we've asked those engineers to do is extend the scope to give us more construction management. Since this is a 100-mile long pipeline, there is the potential for a number of issues to come about during the construction. So we've asked them to expand their services to help us manage that portion of the project within the scope of their original contracts.
Any questions? Are there any citizens to be heard? Seeing none, we're adjourned.